Discover 7 spine-chilling stories of cursed abandoned places. Secrets we should have never exposed. Loretta could feel the weight of the world squeezing her heart as she stood outside the crumbling entrance of the old hospital, its broken windows yawning like open mouths ready to devour them whole. It was supposed to be an adventure, a chance to shift the shadows following her and her children, Danny and Mia, since the day their lives fell apart. But now, the peeling paint and twisted metal gave off an unsettling aura. Loretta's heartbeat quickened. This place wasn't just abandoned. It was haunted by the whispers of its past. Mia tugged at her sleeve, a tremor in her voice. "Mom, do we have to go inside?" The air felt thick with apprehension. She scanned the looming structure, her gut warning her that something sinister was lurking within those dilapidated walls. "Just a quick look," Loretta replied, trying to muster confidence for the sake of her children. "We'll see the ghosts of the past. Nothing more." As they edged forward, the sun started dipping below the horizon, casting eerie shadows that flickered in the dying light. A gust of wind howled through the broken panes, sending a shiver down Loretta's spine. "It's just the wind," she urged herself, but the sensation was mounting, creeping into her chest like icy fingers. Inside, the atmosphere thickened. Each step echoed down the dark corridors, drenching them in a chilling silence. Faded signs hung askew, displaying long-forgotten departments. What lay ahead? What waited in the dark? Loretta felt an undercurrent of dread pulling at her, but brushed it aside. They had come to explore, to heal, to breathe life back into their broken family. Suddenly, the lights flickered overhead, plunging them into near darkness. Mia stifled a gasp. Loretta spun around, catching Danny wide-eyed, pointing toward the dim light just ahead. "Mom, look." His voice was a trembling whisper. "There's something by the back wall." The flickering, illuminated shadowy figures almost dancing just out of sight, teasing them as if beckoning them to come closer. "Guys, stay close," Loretta managed, feeling a knot of fear coil in her stomach. As they continued walking, the air became charged. The corners felt darker. She felt them watching. It was as if the building was alive, hungry, swirling with the energies of those who had long since vanished within the walls. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. A cold breeze swept through the hallway, carrying with it a faint, sorrowful wail. Then Mia screamed, the sound piercing through the stagnant air. Loretta rushed to her side as Mia pointed to a journal sprawled open on the ground. "Mom, this belonged to Dr. Allen, the doctor who worked here. He talks about patients like they're still here. It's so creepy." As Loretta grasped the diary, words screamed out at her strings of haunting events. People lost, stories fading. Fear constricted her throat. Shadows loomed closer. Whispers echoed eerily around them, leaving a lingering sense of betrayal hanging in the air. Someone was watching them. The trust she held for this familiar town wavered. Who could be lurking in the shadows of their pasts? In that moment, Loretta realized, escaping could come at a grim cost. The darkness around them pulsated with life, and something or someone wasn't ready to let them go. Loretta's breath hitched as she felt an icy breeze wrap around her legs, the air surrounding them thick and oppressive, like a cloud of despair. "We should go. We should go now," she whispered, clutching the journal to her chest. The words danced in her mind, echoing the fate of the doctor who had once roamed these halls. Mia's shaking fingers clutched her mother's shirt. "Can we please just leave?" Her voice trembled, the fear in her brown eyes a mirror of Loretta's own growing panic. Danny looked between them, his youthful curiosity colliding with instinctual dread. "We can't leave now. We haven't even found out what it wants from us yet." "Want? You mean what could want from us?" Like to keep us here forever? Loretta shot back, her eyes darting to the shadows crawling along the walls. She could feel them closing in, invisible tendrils probing for weaknesses, searching for a way to lure them deeper into the abyss. The flickering lights overhead began to dim, shadows twisted into sharper, grotesque forms. Loretta felt their presence tighten around her, a looming pressure that snagged the edges of her mind. "Mia, Danny, stay with me," she commanded, stepping back as the dark corners seemed to stretch and pounce with malicious intent. The chilling wail from earlier returned, louder now, reverberating through the empty halls like a mournful siren. "Mom!" "The door!" Danny shouted, pointing behind them where the entrance now stood dark and menacing, as if the hospital itself had conspired to keep them trapped inside. "What the hell?" Loretta stepped back, heart racing. A blink transformed the entrance into a gaping void, swallowing the last remnants of sunlight. Panic surged within her veins, and she turned to the journal just as the temperature dropped. The pages fluttered violently as though stirred by an unseen force, revealing scrawled notes filled with desperate ink about unfinished business, lingering regrets, and darkness that seemed to thrive here. Loretta's stomach churned. This place at ISNT just old. It's alive. It wants us to hear these stories. It wants. A loud crash echoed from down the hall, sending them all jumping back. A metal door banged on its hinges, rattling as if kicked by furious spirits desperate for release. The air thickened with an ominous energy, and Loretta could feel her heart drum louder, synchronized with the heavy thumping that seemed to reverberate from every corner. "Do you hear that?" Mia whimpered, her little body trembling against her mother. "It's just the wind," Loretta lied instinctively, though she could feel the truth clawing at her chest. They had to escape before whatever lurked within those walls fully awoke. The journal burned against her skin, urging her to read, to understand the history that had cursed this place. "No, we can't stay here." Danny's voice broke through the gloomy silence, his eyes wild with terror. Loretta lunged forward, pulling them deeper down the corridor, away from the now banging door. They had to find another way out. Every corridor twisted and turned, with decaying walls closing in like a trap. Suddenly, an apparition flickered to life at the end of the passage, a figure in a white coat, face obscured by shadows. Loretta froze. "Dr. Allen?" The name slipped from her lips before she could stop it. The figure lifted its head, eyes glowing with a wicked light, and let out an ear-piercing scream that echoed through the haunt. Loretta cowered, pulling Mia and Danny closer, hearts racing in sync. "What does it want, Mom?" Mia cried out, teetering on the edge of breakdown. Desperation clawed at Loretta. The thumping grew nearer, merging with the whispers of the building around them, chanting in a murmur that only she could seem to understand. Something was closing in. They had to act fast. But before she could think straight, Dr. Allen spoke in a hushed tone that echoed through her mind. "You shouldn't have come. You're just like the others." Terror coursed through Loretta as a chilling realization settled in. What if this time they weren't just visitors? What if they were the next chapter in the hospital's dark history? The walls began to pulse, shadows crawling in, and the figure advanced slowly toward them, eyes locked on Loretta. Was this the end? Would anyone escape? Just then, a flash of light burst through the window, illuminating the apparition. A scream erupted, but Loretta wasn't done running. Not yet. They had to find a way out before it swallowed them whole. "Come on," she shouted, lunging toward the flickering light, uncertain if it was salvation or another trick of the dark. But what awaited them down that path would change everything they thought they understood about life, death, and the haunting echoes of their past. Loretta propelled herself forward, instinct screaming for escape. The flickering light ahead shimmered, a beacon in an ocean of dread. She clutched the journal tighter, its pages feeling both familiar and foreign in her grasp. Shadows flared, clawing at her heels, each passing second thickening the tension in the air. "Mom, wait!" Danny's voice cracked behind her. The urgency in his tone pulled her back for just a moment, enough to see the terror etched on his young face. "Keep moving. We can't stop," she urged, forcing herself to run again, the darkness pulsating around them like a heartbeat. They dashed past twisted gurneys and jagged remnants of medical equipment. Loretta barely recognized the place. It felt like a nightmare transforming before her very eyes. Then came the whispers. They slithered around her, soft at first, then loud enough to drown out everything. Names unfamiliar, desperate, pleading. Loretta squeezed her eyes shut, wishing it would stop. But as soon as she shut them, a new scream echoed, ripping through her like icy fingers, chilling the very marrow of her bones. Mia? She turned abruptly, a knot of fear in her stomach. Where's Mia? Right here, Mom, came the tiny voice, breaking through the darkness. Relief washed over her, but it was fleeting as the whispers crescendoed. The walls seemed to ripple with the agony of those trapped here, their stories filling the very fabric of the hospital. What do you want from us? Loretta shouted into the gloom, her voice cracking. The shadows refused to answer, only shifting, swirling, and tightening around them like a noose. Were they pulling her in, or did they just want to trap them all here? Over there. Danny pointed, voice laced with desperation. Loretta turned to see a door that had been hidden in shadow, its wood warped and crumbling. It whispered of an exit or perhaps an even deeper horror. Let us go. She barreled forward, shoving the door open. It squeaked with an eerie sound, revealing a narrow stairway leading down into darkness. She hesitated, heart pounding. The atmosphere was heavy with despair. Mom, I don't want to go down there. Mia whimpered. We have to. Loretta replied, casting a look back. The apparition was still there, closer now, its glowing eyes like headlights in a fog. Taking a deep breath, she led the way down the stairs. The air turned cold, and the whispering echoed louder, swirling around them like fabric, wrapping them in layers of fear. Each step felt like walking through molasses. Loretta bit her lip, eyes darting back to Danny and Mia. They followed closely, their small footfalls echoing against the damp concrete walls. Mom, make it stop, Mia pleaded, tears welling in her eyes. I can't, Loretta shouted back. A heavy thud resonated from above, a reassuring thump or a warning. They reached the bottom of the stairs, finding themselves in a vast underground chamber, austere and ruinous. Broken machinery, rusted and abandoned, littered the floor, and the air reeked of decay. Loretta felt as if they had stepped into the belly of a beast. What is this place? Danny whispered, his wide eyes reflecting the dim light from a flickering bulb. Loretta took a step forward, drawn by a relentless energy. At the far end of the room stood a tall, dusty structure, encased in what appeared to be thick glass, etched with strange symbols and markings. It pulsed with energy, a beacon that filled her with both curiosity and terror. The whispers grew violent, a crescendo of voices screaming for release or perhaps revenge. The glass flickered, revealing silhouettes that writhed inside. Loretta's throat went dry as horror filled the chamber, thrumming in sync with the pulsing glass. Mom, I don't like this, Mia screamed, clutching her brother tightly. Loretta's mind raced. They needed a plan. But the voices called to her, seductive and dark, like long-lost friends beckoning her deeper into the nightmarish reality. What if this is why we came? Loretta whispered to herself, drawn to the glass structure. Were they meant to understand its story? Or were they destined to become part of it? A shadow broke free from the glass, looming closer, and a chilling laughter filled the chamber. Loretta, it echoed, familiar yet grotesque, barraging her senses. Loretta's heart pounded louder. It was time to make a choice. Would they face whatever lay beyond, or would they retreat back into the darkness? Each moment stretched as the shadow unfolded, revealing a figure that was both hauntingly familiar and utterly terrifying. Come closer, it beckoned, every word laced with malice. Loretta stood frozen, her mind racing. What waited for her and her children in the depths of this cursed place? If they stepped forward, could they break the cycle, or would they plunge deeper into the darkness? The laughter echoed again, childlike yet tainted, twisting through the air like smoke. Loretta's heart stopped as the figure stepped into stark view. It was her mother, but not as she remembered her. This version wore the wear and tear of torment. Lines carved deeply into her face spoke of unending pain and anguish. "Mama?" Loretta's voice broke, torn between longing and horror. "Why did you leave me, Loretta?" The tone was icy, the words slicing through her like ice. Loretta stumbled back, glancing at Danny and Mia, their faces washed with confusion and fear. "Stay back," Danny shouted, instinctively stepping in front of Mia, whose wide eyes mirrored Loretta's dread. "There's nothing to fear, my dear," the spectral figure crooned, but the warmth in her voice was a false promise. "Come closer. You can help me, we can be together again." Loretta shook her head, disbelief flooding her senses. There was no way this was real. It couldn't be. The shadows pressed closer, a suffocating curtain whispering secrets that twisted her stomach. "Mom, move," Danny urged, tugging on Loretta's arm. "We need to go." But the whole room felt sticky, as if the air itself was holding her back. "Help me, Loretta," the figure pleaded, her outstretched hand reaching through the glass barrier, fingers grazing the surface as a crack spread like a spiderous web under her touch. "You have to let me out. They all want to be free." The whispers intensified, a cacophony of voices, each one containing fragments of despair. "Help us, save us," they clawed at Loretta's sanity, hammering loudly against her resolve. "Mom, it's a trick. Don't listen to it." Mia's small voice broke through, grounding Loretta for just a moment. What if it's true? Loretta found herself thinking, an ugly thought stirred by her mother's desperate gaze. What if they really do need help? "No," she shouted, shaking her head violently. Loretta swallowed back bile. There was no way she could trust this thing that wore her mother's face. The shadowed room felt alive, the structure pulsing in sync with the silence around them. Each beat felt like a countdown, urging her to make a decision. With every passing second, the glass seemed to hum, vibrating with frantic haste. "Let me show you," her mother said. And suddenly, images flashed in Loretta's mind, memories not her own. Faces twisted in agony. Cries for mercy echoed like taunts. Each vision tore at her vitals, making her want to scream. "Mom, we have to go." Danny pulled at her once again, stronger this time, and the urgency in his voice pulled her back from the brink. "Loretta," the spectre's voice turned shrill, the warmth replaced with venom. "You cannot leave. You're part of this now." Loretta finally turned, racing down the dark chamber towards the stairs, Mia and Danny at her side. They scrambled up the narrow steps, but the laughter followed them, swirling around in a macabre duet, deepening the shadows of despair behind. As they reached the top, Loretta gasped, thrusting open the door to the main corridor. But the air was thick with an oppressive presence, like being trapped inside a weighty dream. An icy draft swept through, sending chills racing down her spine, urging a quick retreat. "Mom, it's coming!" Danny screamed from behind her. Loretta turned to see the shadow pouring from the stairs like a flood, its form pulsating wildly, reaching for them. "Run," she ordered, shoving them forward. They sprinted down the corridor, adrenaline propelling them into the unknown. Their footsteps echoed, the relentless whispers now louder than ever, crashing against her like waves in a storm. "Mom," Mia cried, "what if it finds us?" Loretta made a desperate promise. I won't let it," but doubt pooled in her gut like poison. Could they really escape? As the sound of their footsteps faded, it dawned on her they might be heading into an even darker fate. Behind them, the laughter transformed into a wail, echoing through the halls as they vanished into the labyrinthine blackness, leaving only the shadows behind. Did they truly leave the horror behind, or was it merely biding its time, waiting for the right moment to strike? Ahead lay another doorway, but what lay beyond it could tear them apart or bring them closer to the truth they desperately sought. They skidded to a halt in front of a wooden door, its surface scarred and darkened by age, the paint peeling like the remnants of forgotten memories. A chill crawled up Loretta's spine as she pressed her ear against it, her breath shallow. She could hear it, the fading laughter, now transformed into guttural moans that whispered her name. Listen, Danny urged, gripping Loretta's shoulder, his eyes wide with fear. We can't stay here. Mia shivered beside them, clutching her brother's hand tightly, the innocence of childhood snatched away in mere moments. With a deep breath, Loretta reached for the doorknob. It felt freezing against her palm, as if it had absorbed the despair of everything that had come before. She hesitated, heart pounding furiously. An animal trapped in a cage. Could they risk what lay behind this door, knowing it could lead them deeper into darkness? Open it, Mia squeaked, anxiety lacing her voice. Just then, the air thickened, charged with a strange energy that made Loretta's skin prickle. A distant voice echoed from the other side, a sing-song taunt layered with dread. You want to see the truth? You'll find it with me. Loretta's resolve wavered, but she clenched her teeth, unwilling to be pulled under again. With a determined twist, she flung the door open, and the darkness inside surged forward, as if hungry for them. The corridor beyond was illuminated by flickering lights that hummed as if alive, casting shadows that danced along the walls. As they stepped inside, the door slammed behind them. The noise echoed menacingly in the tight space, sealing them in. Great. That's just great, Danny snapped, panic rising in his voice. Now we can't get back. Loretta scanned the room, her heart racing. Old wooden beams stretched overhead, coated in layers of grime. Wooden crates lined the walls, filled with ominous items that looked like they belonged to another time, another life. Pictures' faces stared back at them from fading photographs, eyes wide with fear or sorrow. With trembling hands, Loretta peeked inside one crate. Faded toys lay tossed within broken dolls, stuffed animals with empty eyes staring up at her. She felt a wave of nausea. There was something wrong, something sinister about this space. Each item felt like a fragment of distant anguish clawing at her reality. Behind her, Mia gasped. Loretta, look! A heavy mirror hung on the far wall, reflecting back not just their forms but shadows flitting behind them, faces warped into wretched expressions. Loretta's blood turned to ice. We shouldn't be here, she whispered. The whispers returned, a cacophony of voices that surged in volume, drowning her thoughts. Help us, help us. They wormed into her mind, pulling apart her resolve, tempting her to succumb to the darkness. Loretta! Danny shouted, white-knuckling Mia's hand as he backed up, terror filling his eyes. We have to get out. Loretta turned sharply, intent on retracing their steps, but the shadows seemed to shift, swirling like a dark tide ready to sweep them away. Not again, she gasped. Suddenly, a sharp cry pierced through the whispers, loud and desperate. It echoed off the walls, dragging their attention back to the mirror. What Loretta started to say, but the glass rippled violently as though alive, and from within, a figure began to emerge. Help me! Help me! The voice was frantic, full of desperation that gripped Loretta by the throat. Who is that? Mia whimpered, eyes wide in terror. I don't know, Loretta stammered. The face took form. It was familiar but twisted, a reflection of a younger Loretta, a version lost to time and sorrow. Loretta stumbled back, heart racing so fast it felt like it could burst. We have to go now, she cried out, but the overwhelming urge to know, to understand, clawed at her resolve as the figure in the mirror reached a hand toward them. The shadows surged again, swirling around their feet, pulling them down. Loretta's scream rose in her throat. Loretta! Hold on to me! Danny's grip tightened, but the darkness throbbed with a life of its own, feeding on their fear, promising the answers they so desperately sought. With every ounce of strength, Loretta fought against the pull, desperation burning in her chest. Don't let go. Whatever happens, don't let go. But the tug of the shadows felt stronger. Would they break the cycle or be consumed by it forever? As the mirror shattered with an agonizing crack, its pieces raining down like glass daggers, a new figure emerged. And it wasn't just Loretta, she feared it was what it represented. The shards of the broken mirror fell slowly, glimmering like stars slipping into an abyss. Loretta's heart pounded, adrenaline surging as the air thickened with dread. The figure that emerged wasn't an echo of her past, it was something more sinister. A distorted version of herself. Eyes dark and hollow, filled with despair. "Help me!" the figure screamed, voice twisting into a wail that reverberated through Loretta's bones. "You must remember." Loretta recoiled, pulling Mia closer as Danny edged toward the corner, desperate to find a way out. It shattered the illusion of safety. The shadows around them pulsed, writhing like a living entity, and every whisper grew louder. "Help us! Help us!" Feeling like hands clawing at her mind. "Loretta, we have to get out." Danny's voice was frantic, laced with panic. The room felt alive, vibrating with a malevolent energy that threatened to swallow them whole. "No, we can't leave." The figure struggled against the glass, its features distorting further, transforming into something monstrous. "You need to understand." The walls seemed to close in, the flickering lights now a grotesque dance of torment. Loretta's instincts screamed at her, closing off every rational thought. "No, I won't let this happen." She turned to Danny, her eyes wide. "We have to remember what happened here." The air chilled, more forbidding than before, each breath turning frost beneath her skin. "What are you talking about?" Danny gasped, the glow of flashlight shadows sharpening the corners of his fear. "Every object here, it's a piece of the puzzle. It holds the truth." Loretta's voice broke, tremors running down her spine as she pointed to the crates. "It's all connected." Suddenly, Mia's hand slipped from Danny's, and she darted toward the mirror's shards, drawn in as if by a magnetic force. "Wait, I want to see," she called, her small frame completely unfurling into the dark. "Mia, no!" Loretta screamed, lunging after her. But Danny held her back, shaking his head furiously. "It's too dangerous. We can't risk it." But the allure of the glass was too powerful. Mia crouched, grabbing at a piece, the faint light reflecting in her eyes, illuminating an innocence now shadowed by horror. "Look, I can see them," she insisted, unaware of the increasing darkness creeping around her. Loretta felt the walls shudder, panic swelling like an overt tide. Whispers morphed into full-fledged voices, shrieking, "Join us! Join us!" The cacophony clawed at her sanity, pulling her in all directions. "Please, Mia." Loretta's voice cracked, desperation overwhelming. "Get away from there." Just then, the distorted figure leaped from the mirror's remains, reaching out with twisted fingers like claws. "You have to remember, Loretta, you are us. We are you." Loretta pressed her palm against her stomach. Pain shot through her as flickers of hidden memories emerged, playing tricks on her mind. Visions of laughter turned to screams, faces of the lost appearing in rapid flashes. Shadows of friends lost, people left behind, dark secrets woven into the very fabric of this cursed place. "Stop it," she screamed, doubling over against the surge of pain. "I won't let you take me. I won't." Danny's voice called out again, strong and defiant. "Loretta, we have to stick together. Fight back." As Danny pulled Mia to safety, Loretta felt a surge of power swell within her. Harnessing the raw emotion, she focused everything on the figure, daring it to come closer. "Enough! You can't control us," Loretta shouted, finding strength in the unity of her fear and anger. At that moment, the shadows recoiled, fluttering like disturbed bats. For a fragile second, silence reigned. But it broke too quickly, replaced by a guttural laugh as the figure morphed, stretching impossibly beyond its limits. Loretta understood now that it wasn't just her past haunting her, it was a living entity feeding on her regrets, her fears, demanding to be set free through her suffering. "Loretta, please," Mia cried, clutching Danny as the world turned dizzying. "What do we do?" Something shifted in the air, an unseen presence, growing stronger around them. Loretta's heart raced, realizing they had to confront this darkness if they ever hoped to escape. As shadows twisted tighter, their fate hung by a thread, a chilling weight lingering over them. Loretta steeled herself for what lay ahead, knowing one thing for certain. The past was about to come crashing back, and whether forged together or shattered apart, they would either break the chains of the darkness or become part of its legacy forever. Loretta's breath came in short, sharp gasps as the guttural laughter echoed around her, reverberating off the walls like a haunting refrain. The figure, now a twisted amalgamation of her fears, seemed to pulse with dark energy, looming closer, hungry and insatiable. "Mia, we can't let it touch you," Danny shouted, his voice trembling with urgency as he dragged Mia back farther from the shards, keeping her hidden behind him. The eerie laughter danced around them, a stark reminder of how easily innocence could be consumed in the face of this evil. "Loretta!" The panicked wail of her own name cut through the noise, and she focused on the intimacy hidden in Danny's plea. "You have to fight it. Remember why we came here." His firm grip was a lifeline, anchoring her through the chaos swirling in her mind. But the dredges of memory clawed at her more fiercely. Shadows of guilt entwined with her thoughts, each fragment igniting memories she had buried deep. Faces she couldn't recognize flickered past friends, family, once vibrant but now masked by a darkness that suffocated their essence. The figure twisted, its features shifting as it bore the likeness of people she loved, voices melding into a cacophony of lament. "Loretta, face it, you left them," they cried, their voices merging into an agonizing chant. The pain of loss crushed her chest, and she staggered, feeling the weight of their accusations press down on her. "They need you, you owe them." An electric surge shot through her as she stumbled back, grappling with the revelation that surged this presence was more than just a haunting. It was the embodiment of her traumas and the secrets she had tried to forget, but now clawed for her acknowledgement. "Loretta!" "No," Danny called, panicking as he felt her resolve begin to weaken, sensing the shadows pulling at her from all sides. "Fight it. You have the power to break free." Loretta clenched her fists, gathering the shards of herself that remained. This darkness thrived on isolation, on fear. "I won't let you control my memories," she spat, confronting the wraith of despair before her. Suddenly, she heard Mia's small voice, fragile, yet fierce, breaking through the torment. "Loretta, remember our promise." Her words hung in the air, sharp and clear against the overwhelming dissonance. "We said no matter what, we would always stand together." The innocence in Mia's voice ignited a fire within Loretta. She nodded fiercely, determination piercing through the fog of her fear. "We are stronger than this," she screamed, rallying her spirit. In that moment of clarity, she summoned memories of laughter, warmth, and love, the strength of unity that was rooted deep in her heart. Light flared from within her, radiating outwards, bursting forth to confront the creeping shadows. "Enough!" Loretta commanded, the echoes of the laughter shattering around her like brittle glass. "You will not take my heart. My past will not define me." The figure froze, caught off guard by her unexpected resistance. Loretta pressed forward, her voice steady and unwavering, tearing through the chaos with each syllable. "I'm not afraid of you." Suddenly, the shadows screamed, the cacophony of voices growing frantic as they twisted into a wild frenzy. The air crackled with raw energy, the walls vibrating violently as they struggled to contain the emerging light. But just as it seemed Loretta might break through, the darkness coalesced, dark tendrils reaching hungrily for her. "We are not done," the figure bellowed, eyes flaring with a mix of rage and desperation. "You'll never escape us. You'll never forget what you've done." Loretta's chest tightened, the laughter and sorrow intertwined, creeping back, trying to steal her moments of hope. As panic bubbled inside her again, she realized that this battle was far from over. "Danny! Mia!" she shouted, fear pouring into her voice. "We have to stick together. Don't let it break us apart." The horrifying realization sank in that their strength depended on each other, but the darkness loomed, threatening to sever their connection. As the figure spiraled into a vortex of rage, Loretta understood one terrifying truth. They had to confront what lay within. Now it wasn't just her past, but the shared shadows they all faced. In unity, they could either reclaim the light or be consumed by the ever-hungry darkness. What awaited them on this treacherous path? The reckoning was about to begin, and only together could they hope to confront the demons that clawed at their souls. The shadows convulsed, twisting around Loretta and her friends like a storm, clawing at them with invisible fingers. Musty air filled their lungs, thick with the taste of fear. Loretta felt Danny's grip tighten, his knuckles white. Mia stood frozen behind him, her small frame trembling but her gaze fierce. "This place, it's alive," Danny shouted, his eyes darting around. "We need to find the source. It has to be here." Loretta nodded, biting back the clench of panic in her throat. If they didn't find a way out soon, the darkness would consume them. But where could they go? The laughter taunted them, echoing off the walls like a swarm of mocking voices. They stumbled through the rotting corridors, the weight of dread heavy in the air. Loretta's heart pounded, each echo a reminder of the laughter that haunted them. Memories of past failures surged within her, a childhood rejection, a broken promise. Shadows danced at the edges of her vision, flickering like candle flames ready to extinguish. "Stay close," she urged, glancing back at Mia. The girl's face was pale, a thin line forming around her lips as dread surged back to the forefront. A sudden chill swept through the corridor, freezing them in place. Loretta gasped as a whispering wind filled the space, each syllable dripping with malice. "You should have stayed away. What does it want?" Mia whispered, eyes wide with terror. Loretta swallowed hard, feeling the chill seep deep into her bones. "It wants our fears. It wants all of us at our weakest." They stumbled upon an ancient door hidden beneath a layer of grime, the wood warped and imploring. An old metal handle glinted dully, begging to be touched. Loretta felt an irresistible pull toward it, each heartbeat matching the erratic thump of her pulse. "Loretta, wait," Danny warned, his hands outstretching, but it was too late. She had already pushed the door open. It creaked in protest, revealing a dimly lit room filled with dusty mirrors. The reflections inside didn't show their current self but twisted versions, warped and sinister, shadows of what awaited them. "Don't look in the mirrors," she said, stepping back. But it was too late. The shadows within reached out, snaring her. Mia let out a small whimper as a reflection of their darkest fears grew vibrant in the cracked glass. It's showing me everything I'm afraid of." "Loretta!" Tears streamed down her cheeks. Loretta reached out, pulling Mia back. "Focus on me. We can't get pulled into that. Get out of the way," Danny shouted suddenly, as he threw himself forward, swinging a metal pipe hard against the nearest mirror. It shattered with a deafening crash, sending shards scattering like shooting stars against the walls, gleaming ominously. But the darkness reacted. Wails erupted, louder and more furious than before. The walls trembled, vibrating with the power of untold anger. Loretta's heart raced. "Danny, what did you do?" she pleaded, panic sparking within her. "I bought us time. We need to keep going," he gasped, grabbing their hands to pull them forward. The noise grew sharper, a shriek that rattled her bones, wrapping tendrils of despair around their hearts. With every step, Loretta could feel the darkness trying to envelop them, claws of despair stalking just behind. Images flashed in her mind, friends who had slipped away, moments of joy now lost forever, the swirling uncertainty of what lay ahead. She shook her head, forcing the images back. "Don't give in," Danny shouted, pulling them both toward a narrow escape between two crumbling stone walls. They squeezed through, the darkness clawing at their heels, desperation filling the air. Once outside in a narrow alley that hadn't been there moments ago, Loretta felt a breath of relief, but it was cut short as she turned to face her friends. "Are we free?" But the laughter swelled again, rising above their dread. From the darkness emerged the figure, now more grotesque than ever, melding the forms of everyone they had ever lost, eyes burning with rage and sorrow. "You cannot hide from me. I know all your fears." Danny's face paled, but determination surged in his eyes. "Loretta, we have to face it together." Loretta swallowed hard, fear clawing at her throat again, but she took a deep breath. "All right, all of our fears, all together." And just like that, the shadows deepened. The figure surged forward, ready to engulf them once more. "Loretta, now!" Danny shouted at in that instant. Loretta's heart raced with a mix of dread and hope. They had to confront the darkness. But could they truly stand united against the relentless terror of their past? In the depths of despair, new decisions awaited them, challenging their spirits and connections. What awaited them as they prepared to face their deepest fears? The next confrontation might shatter everything they believed about each other and themselves. The shadows surged, their malevolence palpable as they gathered around Loretta and her friends. The air crackled with an oppressive energy, every breath laboring against a weight pressing down on their chests. Loretta felt the dread constricting her throat, but they had no time to falter. "Stay together," Danny shouted, pulling Mia closer. But the figure loomed like a storm, dark and twisted, memories of loss etched into its face. The laughter that echoed melted into a horrifying symphony, each note a taunt aimed straight for their hearts. "Face it or it will consume you." The figure twisted in the shadows, its mouths whispering familiar names. Those who had once stood as friends now melted into those nightmarish forms, hopelessness swirling around them. Mia breathed, tremors rattling her voice. "What if it is too late?" "No," Loretta snapped, fire igniting in her veins. "We're not done yet. We can't let it win." As she stepped forward, she felt the intensity of the darkness recoil slightly, as if her words pierced through the dread. Danny followed her lead, tightening his grip on Mia's frail hand. With every ounce of courage they could muster, they advanced toward the figure that blended their fears into a mangled silhouette of despair. "You're nothing without your lies," the entity hissed, its voice a chaotic mix of their deepest failures. It lunged towards them, and Loretta braced for impact. Shouting into the void, she declared, "You're wrong. We're stronger than our fears." With that, she yanked the metal pipe from Danny's grip and swung it fiercely at the shade. The hit connected, sending ripples of energy through the darkness. The figure recoiled, and its cries filled the alley with agonizing wails. It was a sound that left ice in their veins. "It's working," Danny yelled, and Loretta felt a rush of adrenaline pushing her forward. Mia's shout pierced the air behind you. The entity was shifting, its attention dividing as it sought to drown them in anguish. Loretta twisted just in time to see the darkness hit Mia. The girl shrieked, her body convulsing as every fear she held threatened to envelop her. "No, Mia!" Loretta dashed forward, heart pounding, and faced the shadows that threatened to wrap around her friend. "Look at me. Mia, see me." She reached out, discovering strength in unity. "You're not alone. We're together." At those words, Danny rushed in beside them, holding the entity at bay as they began to chant a mantra of defiance together. Loretta felt warmth growing within her. It was alive, battling the icy despair. They could not yield, with every repetition of their insistence together. Together, the shadows writhed, thrashing violently as if repulsed by their unity. Loretta surged with hope, but hope turned fragile when the figure screamed, absorbing the voices around them, changing its tactic. "You'll never escape," it screamed. "You belong to me now." Loretta closed her eyes, concentrating hard. The image of everything she had lost bubbled up like a terrifying tide. But this time, she chose to face it not as defeat, but as a force that could ignite action. "Help us!" she bellowed into the void, longing for the courage of those they had loved. And in that heart-stopping moment, the shadows shifted, revealing a path through chaos. But the terror escalated as the walls of the alley began to shimmer and warp. Was it a way out or another trap? "Loretta!" Danny shouted, chaos erupting as darkness clawed back, expanding, ready to reclaim what had been fleetingly won. Loretta glanced back at her friends, desperation meeting determination in their eyes. "We have to go now," she yelled, before taking a step toward the shimmering exit that loomed ahead. But a chill swept through the air, a whispered reminder of their fate echoing in her mind. "I'm waiting." Could they truly escape? Or was this a mere beginning to a harrowing cycle of fear? As they plunged into the light, what horrors awaited them that could unravel everything they had just fought for? The shimmering light enveloped them, blinding and hot, just as Loretta felt an overwhelming pressure at her back. the darkness clawing fiercely. And as they plunged forward, the familiar sounds of laughter twisted, fading into echoes of despair. Together, they stumbled into a wide chamber, not a rescue, but a new battleground. The air was electric, charging with emotions: fear, regret, anger, and anxiety swirling around them in a maelstrom. Loretta blinked. The light dimmed, revealing walls lined with mirrors, each one reflecting the shadows of their deepest fears. Faces twisted with terror sneered back at them, memories of loss and pain. Loretta's breath quickened as she caught her own reflection, one that was hollow-eyed and consumed by grief. Yet in the corner of her vision, she saw her children's faces fierce and ready to fight. "Stay by me," she commanded, steel creeping back into her voice as she stepped forward. "We will face this together. We've come too far to give up now." Danny tightened his grip on Mia's hand, and together they advanced, shadows clawing at their heels eagerly, whispering insidious lies into their ears. "You think you can escape?" they clamored. "You are bound to this darkness." Loretta took a breath, the air like ice in her lungs, but she didn't stop. "No," she shouted back. "You don't own us. We will not be shackled by our fears." The shadows recoiled, swirling violently away from her voice. Motivated by that flicker of courage, she pointed toward the heart of the room, a swirling mass of shadows forming a pillar that pulsed ominously. "That's the source." She felt the pull of their fears lighter as unity gave them strength. "We can stop it, but we must be brave." With renewed vigor, they charged towards the center. The laughter became a shriek, and the pillar lashed out with phantoms of their past, twisting memories into monstrous forms. Loretta stumbled back when she saw glimpses of her mother, eyes filled with sorrow. "You abandoned me," rang out amongst the chorus of accusations. "No," Loretta yelled, shaking her head fiercely. "I chose life. I chose my children." She surged forward, feeling that familiar warmth from Danny and Mia next to her. The shadows hissed, shifting again as if trying to consume them. "You will not escape your past," they howled, but Loretta met it with resolve she hadn't known she possessed. "We are not defined by regret. Every tear we shed makes us stronger." The echoes of her words filled the chamber, feeding the pulsating light surrounding them. For a moment it seemed to stabilize, the swirling darkness easing just enough to let them draw closer to the source. But it lashed violently in retaliation, and vines of darkness shot towards them, threatening to ensnare. Together, Danny roared, "Fight it!" With synchronized hearts, they yanked the energy of their shared strength, shouting, "We stand together." The sounds hurled into the air, pushing against the shadows surrounding them as they pressed on. The shadows recoiled. For every secret they banished, every regret they named, the soft, piercing light grew brighter, illuminating the truth hidden beneath the despair. Loretta caught glimpses of the joys peeking through the cracks, the laughter shared on family game nights, hugs on difficult days, and whispers of love in quiet moments. Those were the memories they would carry, far stronger than the darkness that threatened to consume them. One last surge pulsed through her as the shadows trembled. The wailing intensified, fighting back with all its might. "Stop fighting!" they shouted, but Loretta smiled defiantly. "We're not afraid of the truth," she shouted. "No more hiding." A blinding light exploded around them as Danny and Mia's voices joined hers, harmonizing through the cacophony that erupted in the air. "We are stronger than our fears. We will shine brighter than our past." With that, shadows melted away. The wails turned to whispers, fragile and fading, until they disappeared completely. Loretta gasped, feeling the weight lift from her chest as the pillars of darkness began to collapse into dust, revealing a path of brilliant light ahead. "We did it," Mia's voice shimmered with disbelief. Together, Danny echoed, looking at Loretta, his eyes dancing with hope. "We really did it." Loretta held onto them tightly, feeling tears of relief spill over as she stepped forward into the light, leaving the echoes of their past behind. As they stepped into the warm glow, the air shifted. They found themselves outside, the moon shining brightly in the night. The hospital stood behind them, bathed in golden light, now silent, its shadows forever chased away. We made it, Loretta breathed, feeling an overwhelming tide of gratitude wash over her. She turned to her children, smiles spreading across their faces. We're free, she said, her voice thick with emotion. But deep down, she realized this wasn't just about escaping darkness. It was about embracing light, about family, hope, and the resilience that life demanded of them. They had faced fear and shattered it, and they would carry that strength forever as they walked away. Loretta caught one last glance at the hospital, now just a husk of its former terror. It was still a place of sorrow, but it was also a testament to survival. And as they stepped into their new beginning, she promised herself whatever came next, they would face it together. The journey wasn't over, but Loretta felt the ripple of something profound within, a whisper of hope, guiding them toward whatever awaited under the moonlit sky. Now, it's your turn to take action. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your love for stories like this. Flood the comments section below with your reactions and theories about this ending. Don't hold back. And please instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. They thank you later. Don't wait even one more second to show your support. True fans understand the importance of keeping this community alive.